Hey guys, so this is going to be the first algorithm problem. It's an easy problem categorized in an array. It's called max consecutive ones. Given a binary array, an array made up of ones and zeros, find the maximum number of consecutive ones in the array. So the input is this 1 1 0 1 1 1, and the output is basically 3. So it's this, the maximum number of consecutive ones. Explanation. The first two digits or the last three digits are consecutive ones. The maximum number of consecutive ones is 3. And these notes are actually good to pay attention to. Input array will only contain ones and zeros, and length of input array is a positive integer and will not exceed 10,000. So I would say, just high level, it's just a loop from the beginning to the end, and you basically have a counter, and you basically continually add the counter if it's consecutive. And if it hits a 0, you reset the counter and you check whether or not that counter 2 here is greater than the maximum. And in the first case, the maximum will be 2, and the counter will reset, and then it'll go 3, and that 3 will check whether or not it's greater than 2. And in that case, it is, therefore the output is 3. So I'm going to go ahead and code this. The space and time complexity is probably O1 space, and then time is O(n). I'm pretty sure you can do this quicker, but I'm not going to worry too much about it because I'm honestly I don't know, I'm a bit insecure about my algorithm skills, so I'm just gonna solve it just the way that I know how. So I'm gonna set a counter to 0 first, and I'm gonna have a max, and I make it negative infinity. I mean, I could technically just do 0, but I think that's fine. So I'm just gonna do a loop. And I'm going to check if nums I equals to 1, count plus plus, add 1, else count equals to 0, and I'm going to do another check to say if max equals to 0, and then you actually got to do max equals to count. Wait, hold on. Else, so you got to increment, and then else. When it hits a 0, you need to basically check if count is greater than max, max equals to count. Okay, so let me just think about this. If nums equals to 1, it's going to loop through it. If it's 1, counter is 1. Go to the next one, counter is 1. Okay, when it gets to 0, it'll hit this else statement. Count is going to be 2. And if count is greater than max, which 2 is greater than negative infinity, max becomes 2, right? And then count resets. So I go here, it'll go back to this, and count will be 0. Oh, it's not count, it's counter. And I think that should do it. So here, counter will be 0, or counter will be 1, because it'll go here, 2 and 3. And then, okay, I just need to return, at the end, it's not going to hit the 0, so I do need to return max's count is greater than max, counter is greater than max, it's counter. Then return counter or not return max. Okay, let me just double check here. Counter is 0, max is negative infinity. I'm going to loop through it. If nums equals to I, if current is equal to 1, add the counter, hits a 0, I want to check if the counter is greater than max. So 2 is greater than negative infinity, max equals to counter, and then reset the counter. And then at the end here, this syntax is basically saying, okay, check whether or not the counter is greater than max. So in this case here at the end, counter is going to be 3, but max is going to be 2, because the only time we collect this is when it hits a 0. At the very end here, it's not a 0. Therefore, I want to check whether or not the current counter is greater than the maximum. Well, in this case, it's going to be 3. I want to return counter. So let me just run the code and test to see if this is right. Oh, that's not right. The answer is 1. I wonder why that's the case, because max should be here. Else, if counter is greater than max, max equals to the counter. I think I could just put this outside. Counter is greater than max. Plus else counter equals 0. Counter is greater than max. Max equals to counter. As you can see, this is pretty difficult for me. I'm going to loop through the array. The first 2 digits of the last digit are considered ones. Interesting. If counter is greater than max, I could put this at 0. Oh. It's because I returned the max inside of my for loop. See what nerves does to you? Wow. So let me see if the first one works here. Okay. Counter is greater than max. I understand. This should be 1, right? Because if this was 1, I'll enter it as an array of 1. Oh, it's because this counter. Oh, I see. Yeah. So return counter is greater than max. Counter max. There we go. So let's take a look. I've only was faster than 39%. But I think that's because of I'm doing a for loop, and I think you could do something with like pointers, but I'm happy with this. I'm just going to clean up the code a little bit. Why does it do that? Okay. Then literally just this plus. Here. And this is function. Okay, cool. So 7 to 19, 13 lines of code. Pretty okay. And yeah.